Yep, it's gotten worse. What to do, YouTube? It's your boy, Mr. Meat Shower 21, part 2, because, oh boy, here we go again. Again. I was hoping I wouldn't have to make a video like this, but things have certainly gotten a lot worse since my last C21 video. So in case you missed it since the last video, handguns have been banned.
Well, Mr. Michaud, it's a handgun freeze. It's not an actual ban, it's a handgun freeze.
They've been banned. Let's call a spade on that one. Airsoft almost got banned, and in my opinion is still at risk. And what else? Oh yeah, that's right. All semi-automatic firearms, including some pump action and some bolt action firearms, are at risk of getting banned as well. So, let's dive a little bit on into that. The November 22nd update to Bill C21 reads, a firearm that is a rifle or shotgun that is capable of discharging center fire ammunition in a semi-automatic manner and that is designed to accept a detachable cartridge magazine with a capacity greater than 5 cartridges of the type for which the firearm was originally designed. So basically what that states is that if it's semi-auto, takes magazines, and shoots center fire ammo, it's gonna get banned. Let's take a look at some of the firearms that would entail. The Tavor, the X95, all AR-180 and its variants, Canuck bullpup shotguns, actually all semi-automatic shotguns, anything made by Crusader Arms, Kel-Tec Sub 2000, Kel-Tec SU-16, Kel-Tec RDB and RFB, JR Carbine, Kriss Vector, Ruger PC Carbine, Norinco Type 97 NSR, Benelli M4, M1 Garand, and M1 Carbine. What? All the Type 81s, SVT-40, FX9 PCC, GSG-15, and GSG-16 are also on the list, even though they're 22 caliber rim fires. Basically all semi-autos. Oh, but wait, there's more. Sporterized Mausers and the Weatherby Mark V made the list as well.
Oh,
Mark V
made the list, all right.
That's right, a bunch of hunting rifles made the list, including a bunch of hunting shotguns that were designed exclusively for the use of hunting birds and ducks. But the one rifle that's on the list that should have every Canadian firearm owner pissed off is the SKS. So to all the hunters that have thought in the past, well, they're not going to come after me. They said they're not going to come after me. They've said a billion times they're not coming after me. Welcome to the party. We saved a spot for you right over there. Make sure you try Amanda's queso dip. And now you know that they're coming after you. You were always part of this battle, and now you know. So why would the current government come after people who don't even make it into StatsCan's crime statistics? Because we're not the ones going out and committing the crimes. Well, there's two answers. There's the obvious one, and then there's the other one. The first answer would simply be because they want to win another election and they know most Canadians don't know the laws, facts, and stats around Canadian gun ownership. Let's be honest about our country for a second. We consume more American media content than we do our own. And lately in American media, we see what criminals are doing with firearms on the front page or at the top of every hour. You put these two things together and you have Canadians that think, oh, since someone's taking a poop in the neighbor's backyard pool, someone must be taking a poop in mine, eh? Except this is not the case in Canada. As stated in my last video, firearm deaths in Canada are incredibly low. I mean, statistically, doctors kill more people in 3 days than firearms do in an entire year. Now, when I say that, I'm not discounting the work that doctors do, I'm simply stating a fact. And the people who are using firearms to kill people are almost exclusively in the gang community. Let's look at the gun crime that's been plaguing Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal lately. Gang-related. 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 Yeah, gang-related. So one could easily deduce that it's people who are living by the illegal sword or dying by the illegal sword. And let's look at the Nova Scotia goober. He was banned from ever owning firearms when he pled guilty to assault charges back in 2002. As per the Canadian Firearm Program, if you've ever pled guilty or have been convicted of a violent crime, you're banned from owning firearms for life. It's weird, almost like criminals do things outside of the law even though it's illegal. The long and short of it is that politicians expect most Canadians to not do their research. They expect Canadians to read a headline and base their entire opinion off that. The one thing that I find funny about all of this is that the majority of Canadians who support gun bans or even stricter gun control in Canada than we already have tend to pride themselves that they're not American, yet use US stats and figures to back their argument. That would be like me saying, well, I won't drive a Dodge because my friend who owns a Ford had a bad time in a Chevy once. Simply doesn't make sense. The one thing very frustrating for gun owners like me is that MPs who support this bill continuously state that this ban is evidence-based and that they have consulted professionals, gun owners, and the industry.
Well, a few things. First, we're listening to experts. We're listening to law enforcement. We're listening to the industry. We're listening to gun owners.
I have yet to hear of anyone in the industry or any gun owners that have been consulted on this. It makes me wonder if the professionals that they consulted gave MP Talib Noor Mohammed this info on the SKS.
Exhaustive list.
But that exhaustive list, and I'm just going to pull it up here, Mr. Chair, involves everything from the Donbass conflict that we've seen very recently, all the way back to the Boer War. It's been used.
At the end of the day, the stats and facts say it all. Legal gun ownership has not been and is not an issue, nor is it a threat to Canadians. Now, on to the second answer. Now, the last time I did a C21 video, I reached out to the airsoft community and asked, hey, how is this going to affect you? Well, I've done the same thing, except this time with the firearm community, and this is what they had to say.
I'm a gun guy. I've been making Canadian firearms content for, I guess about 8 years now. I've just turned from Milsert page to like modern guns to whatever it is now, just memes and like the odd shooting of something.
With the recent updates that we've seen with C21 in the past 24, 48 hours, where it's gone from a handgun freeze bill to an all-out ban on semi-automatic firearms in Canada, how will this affect your content, and how will these affect your means of getting your content out there, like Instagram and YouTube?
Well, it'd pretty much like nuke it. Like it'd be done.
Mm-hmm.
Like I unless I went back to like my origins of like milsurp stuff, but even so, like who knows with like that law? It's so vague. Like, because it could be like any gun that can have the what's even the wording, the like ability to take more than 5 rounds, right? Like just like that type of crap. So it pretty much completely nuke.
You are now monetized through YouTube. I mean, you can make the argument too that that's taking money out of your wallet with this bill.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like that's the thing too. It's like, okay, so maybe I can still post like older content before whatever date this is in, but it's like, but that still takes the risk of like just some stupid cop that's not, busy with other crimes that are constantly going on to try, come raid my house.
I've been shooting since the age of 7.
Wow.
So I've been shooting for 37 years.
Wow.
Started off from my dad.
Mm-hmm.
I've been part of the firearms industry for a really, really long time, and got into competition shooting, worked my ass off, trained really hard. But what I'm more worried about is the upcoming when it comes to handguns.
Mm-hmm.
They got the whole importing, bylaws that are, that's in discussion. I think that's literally going to be a world of hurt if that actually does go through. And I think they might come after that. And we're just I think it's just a sleeping giant right now. And then when that happens, I think then that's really going to ruin the sport of all competition sports throughout Canada. Because IPSC's such a huge, huge force in Canada, right?
Oh, it really is. Like it's one of the biggest and one of the fastest growing shooting sports, if not, the world, definitely in Canada. Like,
yeah, so that's the thing that's going to hit really, really hard, and I think it's just going to destroy the just the life of the sport. And I think when it comes to shooting firearms, it's just, I feel bad for all the students that I've taught, because like they're all still waiting for their pals, right? And they're all excited to get into the industry, right, to shoot. And then, now they're got less fun guns to choose from and to learn to do, and to even hunters as well too. Like they're just people that's getting their pal just to hunt, and their dreams are getting kind of crushed too a little bit, right? So. Yeah.
I'm Matt Mandel. I'm one of the co-owners here at Wanstalls in Maple Ridge. Wanstalls has been a family-owned business since 1973, and its current iterations of partners. We've been together in one form or the other since 2008. And we support the sports shooting community and hunting community by selling firearms, ammunition, and all that fun stuff.
So the store itself has been in Maple Ridge for longer than most Maple Ridge residents.
For sure, it has, yeah.
So with C21 coming down the pipeline, and with the recent amendment that we saw last week, with basically the banning of semi-auto firearms, what would that mean for companies like yours? Between the 2020 OIC, the handgun freeze, and now
the amendments to C21, you're looking at, a massive, essentially the gutting of our business. We realistically, it's probably going to result in a loss of 60 to 70% of our sales.
And so what would that mean for, for the employees and people like you? Like,
realistically, like we've never faced anything like this, so it's really hard to say. I mean, in the immediacy, if you're going just off of the fear mongering and stuff that's going on, like, yeah, it's going to be some major layoffs are going to happen, and we're going to have to figure out how to do a different way of business. We've always been a gun and ammo store. We don't do clothing. We don't do a lot of soft goods, we call them, so like plate carriers and stuff like that. So for us, losing guns and ammo is essentially losing our way of doing business.
It's like telling a gas station it can't sell gas anymore.
Exactly. And you got to rely on selling chocolate bars.
My name's Jason. I am a gun photography guy, and I just developed a skill that keeps me busy and keeps the brain firing and giving me all the dopamine that I need, and that kind of stuff. So
how long have you been around firearms, or how long have they been involved in your life?
Oh, since I was a kid.
How will C21 affect you and the content you put out?
Well, if the shops can't sell the guns and they can't afford to keep the doors open, then I have no one to take pictures for, basically, right? Like, it's now just myself. But that'll all come to an end because they're not going to have the budget to do that, right? They're not making the money that they were where they can support staff. All these shops, how many people? 2, 3, 4, 5 in each shop? What jobs are they going to have, right? Now I got to go find a new job. Yeah, it's going to change a lot of things for a lot of people. And I don't even know if I'll continue doing it if there isn't a place for it, right? What's the point?
So one thing you've mentioned is that you take photographs, you use your talents and your efforts for, local stores in and around your area. Do you work with any other groups or companies that are related to in the firearm industry?
I've talked to a lot of different companies and had stuff in the works that are probably not going to be happening anymore because, again, they're not going to be able to even sell their firearms. Their firearms will no longer be legal here. So those future contracts are now, and so that's another thing that affects me. It's going to affect a lot of people, like the guys at the range, the people that live at the range and take care of the range now don't have a range to live at because no one's going to be able to go.
Okay, so my name is Adam Bach. I have been shooting competitively now for probably 7-8 years. I'm also a member of the Silver Corps team. I'm one of their live fire instructors teaching pistol, rifle, shotgun, and hopefully pretty soon some more PRS style long distance stuff. I do compete on the circuit, 2-gun, 3-gun, PRS, NRL 22, you name it. If it's a firearm related, I tend to dabble in it a little bit. So I have a pretty good cross-platform familiarity with the sports and the firearm industry altogether.
How long have you been involved with firearms, and how long have firearms been a part of your life?
I've started shooting firearms probably at the age of 4 with a 22. So I've been very involved in the firearm, call it the community, for quite some time. Day of my 18th birthday, I went out and bought my first Glock. And then, of course, the love and the passion for it just grew.
Considering outside of your professional life, you devote a lot of your free time to the firearm industry, firearm training, as well as making content on social media. How do you think C21 will affect the content that you put out on social media?
Well, it'll effectively stop it altogether. I mean, the content that I'm putting out is a lot of match content, a little bit of content with Silver Corps and my work. And if C21 comes into fruition and they do a total firearm ban, which is what I truly feel this is what's going to come to with this, it'll effectively stop all the different disciplines that I am currently shooting. 2-gun, 3-gun is gone. Dynamic sport shooting is gone. And at that point, we're going to be running around with muzzle loaders or lever actions, if that's what it's going to turn out to be, right? So
considering you've been around firearms for the majority of your life, you're involved in many things like DSS, PRS, many different disciplines and competitions related to firearms. You also work with a company that deals with training. if C21 gets passed and receives royal ascension, what do you see happening to businesses?
I don't think you can sustain a business with lever actions, to be honest. I think a lot of that stuff is going to go, a lot of companies are going to go out of business. And unfortunately, with local municipalities and gun stores, once they close, there's a good chance they're not going to be opening up again because there's a whole lot of regulations to open up a gun store.
I also contacted True North Arms and asked if they could do a video interview. They said, unfortunately, they're incredibly busy right now, but they did provide me with this written statement. C21 is either going to put us out of business or force us to completely change focus, as 90% of what we do is covered by C21. If C21 receives royal assent, we are expecting a massive 70+% reduction in gross revenue. We are in the process of building a larger warehouse. This is now on hold. We were in the final stages of making large capital equipment acquisition, which is now also on hold. It's been a rough couple of years. In 2019, we were growing fast and hiring people. The OIC happened and our sales decreased about 70% overnight. We were stuck with tens of thousands in dead inventory. We were hit hard. We lost a year trying to rebuild the business and just started getting under control again before the handgun freeze. And now this. It's not easy to be a firearms-related retailer during these times. Well, there you have it. I think it's fair to say that this bill will do more harm to the average Canadian than good. We still haven't even begun the actual buyback process for the firearms that were affected by the May 1st OIC, and the federal government has already managed to spend almost $9 million on it, and not a single firearm has been collected by the government yet. One can only imagine how much something like C21 will cost the average Canadian taxpayer. One thing's for certain, it's going to leave some Canadians who are arguably some of the safest and most responsible people in their community without a job. Now, a lot of the MPs who are backing this bill continue to reiterate that this bill is for public safety. They also wouldn't be reducing the minimum mandatory penalties for someone who commits a crime with a firearm. Yeah, go look up Bill C-22. So, what can people like you and I do? Well, there's only a few things that people like us can do right now. One is to use the democratic processes still available to us right now. Call, email, or write your member of parliament. Whether you're in a red, orange, green, blue, or light blue riding, reach out to them and let them know how you feel. Make sure you're respectful when you're contacting them. Also, contact the members of the Canadian Senate. Below in the description is a link to a Google document that has a pre-written statement as well as all the emails to the members of the Canadian Senate. All you have to do is put your name in, copy, paste, and send. A big thank you to T97 Thought on Instagram for creating this document. Make sure you go send them some love. The other thing you can do is share this video. We all know that for the most part, the average Canadian isn't really knowledgeable on Canadian firearm laws or stats. This video might be enough to help them form an educated opinion. So there it is. Long story short, Bill C-21 update is smooth brain energy. Pass it on. Anyways, y'all, thank you very much for watching the video up to this point. If you like the video, you know what to do. Like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you check out my social medias, or don't. Also, feel free to watch me on Twitch. And hopefully next video we get to spread some good news. Have a good one.